Welcome back to Perptex Daily. I'm Aaron. In today's video, we have a lot to cover. There are some big shifts in the macro today, which have affected the markets a lot, and we're going to get straight into it. So looking at the price of Hyperliquid, you can see the price of Hyperliquid's up over 2% today, still coiling in this range. Yesterday, we had a big dump because the Iran war with the USA got restarted. This led to all crypto assets selling off across the board and equities as well, and Hyperliquid took a decent hit, went from about $68 down to almost $62 at the bottom of that wick, and now it's bounced up about 2%, and it's still coiling in this range. We talk about this pretty much every single day, but I think this is going to be looked back on as a really good range if you want to kind of get in or accumulate. Not financial advice, of course, but it reminds me of this range we were seeing from about March to mid-May, which was lasted about 2 months. And we've been in this range for coming in on 2 months. So I'm expecting Hyperliquid to kind of just chop in this range and then eventually make a move higher. We'll see what happens with that. Lighter is up over 14, almost 14% today, up over 13.5%. And yesterday it took a big dump. There is a big whale that actually sold off. And we're going to be talking about that later in the video. And I don't think it's anything bad. I think it's just simply because they probably accumulated a big bag down here. And when you have that much size, I mean, that's how proper risk management works. If you're making, the guy I think made over $13 million on the trade or something. So of course he's not looking for a 10x. He can just take a 2x, trade 10M to 20M, scrape off 10M, and then, go from there. So nothing to worry about it, but I'll cover it today. But as you can see here, it had a big dump, great opportunity, and now it's bounced up. This is great to see. You can see there's a lot of strength on the chart. People are continuing to bid lighter. We know there's still a lot of hype around Robinhood and stuff, and I think it's just the beginning for lighter. We talk about it every day on this channel. But yeah, let's get into the big macro news for today. U.S. inflation falls to 3.5% lower than expectations. This is really good for the risk on the market, and here's why. So Kevin Warsh, he is not really seen as a hawk. Some people think he's a hawk. I think he's, kind of more of a dove when it comes to the way he's going to do his monetary policy. But if U.S. inflation is falling, that means a rate hike is a lot less likely. If rates get hiked, that is not good for crypto in the risk on market. If rates get lowered, that is good for the price of crypto and risk on markets. And the only way they can have an argument to even lower rates is inflation has to fall. So the big issue in the U.S. right now is there's a lot of issues in terms of the economy, but the biggest one has to be inflation. This is the one that hurts consumers the most. This is the one people care about the most because it's what you see when you go to the grocery store, right? What you see when you go to the gas station. And right now, the Fed has a target for inflation. They're trying to bring inflation down with certain monetary policy tools, etc. But if that inflation doesn't come down, then they have to raise rates, which will impact the risk on markets. But this is good to see that U.S. inflation has fallen, which means it gives them room to possibly lower rates. Now, will they lower rates this year? I personally don't think so. I think it's more likely they kind of just hold rates for the entire year. 2027, don't really know. I have no clue. Nobody has any clue, actually. But it really comes down to this metric right here. If inflation keeps running hot, then they're going to have to raise rates. But if it doesn't and it continues to lower, let's just say next CPI report, it comes down to, 3%, 3.2%, comes down back lower than expectations, there's going to be more of a case to lower rates. And if we're just being real here, I don't think in terms of the general population, lowering rates would actually serve well for the common person. But in terms of crypto, lowering rates will pump the price of the crypto markets. Part of the reason the 2021 bull run was insane is because rates were literally at fucking almost 0% or at 0%. And then rates got what triggered the bear market, what really kicked it off. And obviously, crypto is a 4-year cycle and all this stuff, is rates getting risen. In 2022, and I think June, it was when rates first started to get risen. And now we're here. But we want, maybe if you look at it from a general macro perspective, maybe lowering rates isn't the best decision for the U.S. and global economy. But for crypto asset prices to go higher, lowering rates will do just that. So basically what this is signaling is, hey, rate hike, probably less likely. On Polymarket and Kalshi, the percentage chance of the people who are betting on those platforms betting on a rate hike went down significantly. So yeah, anyways, let's go to Hyperscan. Interestingly enough, in the next 24 hours, there is not too much TWAP buy pressure. I think there's a little more selling pressure, although the spot is doing a lot better. But with the TWAPs, wait, no. I messed my words up right there. My bad, guys. But basically, not too much buying pressure right now on Hyperliquid. Obviously, this is a lot, of course. But what I see here is a lot of opportunity. Okay? Hyperliquid looks to be in a really good range in terms of like, it's not really the, no pun intended, the hype asset right now in this current day of CT in this week. Lighter has a lot more attention, but that's when you kind of want to see the opportunity. In a metric that hit all-time highs recently, which is a very, very important metric, is Hyperliquid's open interest. It hit an all-time high recently. And if you take a look at Hyperliquid's open interest compared to other centralized exchanges, it's still below OKX, Bybit, and Binance. And what this screams to me is there's a lot more room for this thing to grow. There's a lot more room for the perp market to grow. Not a single Hyperliquid nor Lighter has licenses to operate legally in the US yet. That is how early this thing is. Nobody actually even knows what the fuck this Hyperliquid shit is. Most people don't. It's pretty niche still. So even at an $18 billion valuation for Hyperliquid, I still think it's very undervalued long term. Now that might be a hot take. We'll see what happens in the future, but I think Hyperliquid and Lighter are very undervalued. Okay, now I kind of want to go to this page right here talking about buybacks. Just give you an update here. So the buyback numbers obviously have continued to climb up. I think this is sitting almost at 320 million at this point. About 6.3% of the circulating supply has been taken out for Lighter and 3.4%. Now, Lighter actually did its first burn on the tokens, an official burn. This was, I think, 2 days ago they did it, or a day ago. Don't exactly remember. Sorry, guys. But now let's go to the next thing. There's a new perp listing. Folks has, I honestly don't even know what this is. Maybe it's a RWA or something. Folks Finance. I don't think it's an RWA. It doesn't sound like one. Folks Finance. Sounds like some DeFi protocol. But anyways, you can now trade this at 3 times leverage on Lighter. But now let's talk about the big dump. So there's a big trader who sold 13 million lit yesterday over the past 20 hours. I asked in the comment sections how much he got left. Eric said $500,000. Yesterday was a bad day for the crypto markets. The Iran war started. This was before the good inflation news came out today. And the market dumped pretty hard. There was a lot of selling going on. Lighter had been on a big run, so I wasn't shocked to see a big correction. And at the end of the day, when it comes to stuff like this, him selling his 13 million Lighter, it's like, once again, if you're buying, I don't know, $6 million worth of Lighter down here, or you're buying 10 million or whatever, and the price is over doubled, and you're dealing with that much size, it's probably the smart move to take profit. So I don't blame the guy. I'm not looking at the guy saying, why would he do that? Doesn't he know we're going much higher from here? This is just basic investment risk management, especially when you're dealing with that much size. I mean, 13 million is a lot. It's a lot of fucking money. So, and yeah, he only has 500K left, so not anything really to worry about at this point. But yeah, guys, having a really good day. I think the markets are, doing good. We're still in a bear market. I don't think we want to get too excited in terms of like, oh, is crypto going to go to the moon soon? Oh, and one more thing I think we have to cover is the Senate has 24 days to pass the Crypto Clarity Act before leaving for summer recess. And I want to make my position clear on this. The Clarity Act may or may not pass, probably won't. It'll probably cause some short-term bad price action. But overall, clarity in the long term will come to the US. When does it come? I don't know. And another thing is, it's not going to stop capital flows. Crypto is an international market. So regardless if the US wants to hop on the train or not, it doesn't really matter. There's already a lot of other countries that have regulatory clarity. And yeah, it's not really helping the US's case in terms of bringing more liquidity to the country if they're just going to keep doing this game. But it doesn't really matter. Like, money is just going to keep going there. I mean, there's a lot of countries with proper regulation there. So, and if it does pass, let's just say it does pass, I don't think it's going to be extremely bullish for the crypto markets either. I mean, I think it might be bullish for a little bit in the short term, but like, I'm not thinking, oh, all the coins are going to go to the moon once it passes. Definitely not. So, but anyways, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, join the Discord, and make sure to go follow me on X. We're posting insights there, and see you tomorrow.